Hi, I am Henrike Moll. I'm a professor of psychology at the University of Southern California, where I study children's cognitive development in the first few years of life. In this video abstract, I give a brief presentation of my contribution to the special issue on teaching and learning, epistemic, metaphysical, and ethical dimensions, recently published in the Journal of Philosophy of Education. Philosophers, psychologists, and anthropologists all tend to agree that humans learn most of what they know from other people in one way or another. A particularly powerful and human unique way of learning is learning from teaching. Social epistemologists have recently argued that teaching is a special epistemic relationship between two parties who recognize one another as teacher and learner and who cooperatively embark on the enterprise of advancing the learner's knowledge. In this view, teaching is second-personal and self-conscious because it involves two mutually engaged agents who know what it is that they're doing together. This, I think, is the correct way of thinking about teaching. It corresponds with much of what we've learned from our own observations of children in pedagogical encounters. However, developmental psychology and cognitive science have generated different and, I believe, problematic pictures of teaching. Problematic because the self-conscious and second-personal character of teaching fails to be recognized in these pictures. For example, it has been suggested that teachers emit signals that then cause certain mental events in the child that maximize her learning. This mechanistic picture of teaching does not do justice to the intersubjective and the collaborative quality of teaching. Others have suggested that the epistemic dependency of children is a threat to their intellectual autonomy and rationality. What these authors do not recognize is the fact that children place epistemic trust in others is actually a manifestation of and not a threat to their rationality. Believing and trusting others is rational for a being whose cognitive growth depends on education. The human is such a being. In my article, I then go on to show that child development research shows that young children, even from very early on, desire to be taught and value the transaction of teaching. Let me give a few examples of this work. Even in infancy, children seek out others' knowledge and guidance, especially knowledge from adults. For example, when they're uncertain whether they can take a step down a steep incline or whether an object near them is dangerous, they look to an adult for guidance and assistance. This phenomenon is also known as social referencing. Also, when young kids are acquiring a new skill, they ask for their performances to be evaluated by others, and they ask for others to provide their examples of how the job is done right and how to perform the action in the right way. Lastly, a series of studies that we conducted with preschool children shows that even by preschool age, children spontaneously offer what they know to other people. They offer what they take to be general knowledge to others in order for this knowledge to spread across the community. It thus seems that preschool children understand that teaching is the gift that keeps on giving. It is how knowledge gets around between people. This empirical work corresponds with much of what the philosophers who have contributed to this special issue are arguing, namely that teaching is a special intersubjective relation between learner and teacher who together try to expand the learner's knowledge, and that they do so in joint recognition of being in this together. This way of thinking about teaching really ought to be imported into the empirical learning sciences, which still struggle to leave behind more mechanistic and more individualistic ways of thinking about these matters.